Welcome back, listeners. My name is Larry Kallevig, founder and CEO of the Haven Financial Group. And if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the Haven Financial Group radio show, where every week we talk about all these retirement puzzle pieces, how to put the puzzle together, topics that are really, really important. And we're honored to have Glenn Ramey, the insurance expert at Haven Financial Group, to discuss in the first segment, of course, Medicare and healthcare and how it's a big expense in retirement. And then how life insurance can really support retirement as well. So look forward to this segment as well, Kim.
Absolutely. You know, we think about life insurance as covering final expenses and supporting the loved ones maybe that we leave behind, but it can serve as a supplement to your income. So that's something that maybe a lot of people don't know, Glenn. So let's get started and talk about just some of the different kinds of life insurance out there and how they can be used, starting with the idea first of term life.
Yeah, so term life insurance is one of the best tools when we're still working, when we still have liabilities, we still have people that we're taking care of that are relying on our income to come in and help that family out, right? Mm-hmm. So term insurance is something I would say like renting insurance. You're buying a block of time under an insurance policy, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of this insurance. It's going to protect your family at a relatively low cost, right? There's typically no cash value associated with term life insurance policies, as I said, kind of renting them for that period of time. And that's renting process is what makes them inexpensive. So it's easy for someone that's young to get $500,000 to $1 million plus worth of term life insurance to replace lost income, to help kids with college expenses, to help take care of your family if tragedy occurs prematurely to you. Term is what great ways to do that, including protecting against mortgage debt and loan responsibilities, so that you're not leaving your family with those burdens if something happens.
Sure. Can term insurance in any way or shape or form be used if you are still alive?
No.
Okay.
No, it is something that's going to pay out upon your death. As I said, it's renting, not owning. God forbid something happens. But again, that's why it makes it inexpensive for consumers to do, which is why it is a good tool when we're younger and still working.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about whole life insurance.
Yeah, so whole life is where some guarantees come into play. And again, the term is supposed to mean just what it is, insurance for your whole life, right? So it's going to be permanent life insurance, we like to call in our industry here. And that insurance is going to have a premium. It's going to have cash values. It's going to have death benefits. It's going to guarantee returns. This doesn't mean this is something you can't still pay or shouldn't pay attention to. Even these policies need to be reviewed periodically to make sure they're performing as they're supposed to. But they are great tools for estate planning to avoid estate taxes, legacy planning to leave behind things to institutions or individuals you want to gift upon your passing, and the cash value growth. There's some liquidity there within that cash value. You have a sub-savings account within your insurance policy that you have access to. You can take loans and withdrawals to help you with liquidity if there's things that are happening later in life that you need access to funds, and all the other places you would normally go are not places you want to at that time.
Okay. And then finally, universal life.
Yeah, so this is one of the newer options, and I think it provides a lot of flexibility while still having a lot of the components that a whole life policy might have. It kind of is a blend between whole and permanent in my circumstance, my belief here, in that you're going to have death benefit, you're going to have cash value, you're going to have premiums that you pay, but this is one that can be designed to help with long-term care cost. It can be designed with help with tax-free income in retirement, life insurance retirement plans, LIRPs they call in our industry. These are more flexible insurance policies. They don't come with all the explicit guarantees necessarily, though some can, that the whole life might provide. But they also provide more flexibility. And hey, it's a rough time and I can't pay this premium right now. Maybe I'm going to skip that next year's premium payment and rely on the cash value to cover it instead for us without doing major harm to the longevity of that insurance policy. So say on the universal life, there's three major ones: guaranteed universal, index universal, and variable universal. I want to kind of address that last one. Variable universal life insurance policies, that variable term is referring to the cash value of your insurance being invested into the stock market, meaning at risk, meaning whether it goes up or down is a variable based on market performance. performance. And these might, again, be good tools when we're younger and we have the time horizon, but we definitely tell our clients that are moving into retirement, those variable universal life policies have a huge risk component that you may not want to take anymore given the stage of life that you're at. The indexed alternative, the universal life insurance policies, still have the same kind of upside potential that the variable universal life policies can have. And you can build in protections on the cash value with those, but those are not going to have the market risk anymore. Indexed universal life policies are going to follow in indices and give you a rate of return based on its performance without risking the downside when those markets correct.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more, if we could, about it when it comes to universal life, the way in which you can use that. You mentioned long-term care. How do you use it for long-term care?
So today there can be special provisions connected to your life insurance policy, riders we like to call them in our industry, that says if something happens and you end up in a long-term care need situation with the same qualifications that traditional long-term care insurance would have to achieve a benefit, you can start drawing down your death benefit while you're still alive. So this isn't accessing the cash value within the account. No, this is accessing the death benefit of your life insurance policy and taking small installment payments out of it to help you cover those long-term care costs.
And that's something that didn't exist however long ago, right? That's not always been there.
No, most companies 5-10 years ago weren't even
Right.
offering anything like that, wasn't an option. So a lot of times in the review process, we'll find people want and need their life insurance policies. They're not necessarily in bad footing, but they're lacking these features. And we're helping our clients redo those policies while they're still healthy enough to qualify to add these important features to their insurance they were going to keep and pay for anyway.
Larry, he just said something. I was just going to ask you about I'm sorry. I just was going to ask you about these reviews because it's so important for people to come in and do that, isn't it?
We're on the same wavelength, Kim. We definitely are, because it's so important, and Glenn can comment on life insurance reviews. If you're listening today, first and foremost, thank you for listening. But if you're listening today and maybe you have not looked at your life insurance, it's been on the shelf for days, years, many, many, many years for many. Life insurance review. Is your life insurance performing the way it's supposed to? Do you know which one of the types that he just mentioned that you have? Do you have variable life? Glenn, comment on where we see life insurance cannibalize, eat itself up, and then what they thought was going to be there is no longer there. And we see that far too often, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Like 30 to 40% of the life insurance policy review we find have these structural problems within them. And this is nothing the client did wrong. I want to make very clear, this isn't the consumer making a mistake. It's the promise of returns and benefits that didn't happen to your insurance, right? Policies are designed, especially these permanent ones, to live off the cash value interest that's generated on them later in life. And at some point, the cost of insuring you starts exceeding what you're paying per month for your insurance premiums. And they start using that interest to bridge the gap. Where these policies get in trouble is when the cash value didn't perform as the projections assumed, and there isn't as much interest coming off of them as what was intended. And now they sort of have to dip into the cash value of the insurance policy to pay those differences. And as soon as that happens, I like to refer to the analogy like pushing a snowball down a hill. It compounds on itself. Every year, it has to take more from the cash value to cover the higher cost within that. And usually within 7 to 10 years, we watch a policy collapse on itself. Right? So this is why we emphasize reviewing our life insurance policies, making sure they are working as intended, making sure these shortfalls are not there. And if we identify them, doing it early enough in the process that their corrections can be made, maybe redoing the policy with a different company or restructuring the benefits or premiums we're paying into our insurance to sustain them.
And I would say be also aware of the costs associated. Glenn and I see frequently some of these national brands that some of them that advertise a lot on TV, and I'm not saying that by nature that's bad. It's the costs that people are paying for that. And then they oftentimes try to lump in long-term care. And some of those folks are paying way too much and not getting the value they could be getting had they looked at all the different options that were out there. So always be cognitive or aware and have an understanding of how much you're paying and what value is it you're getting for what you're getting. So I think that's very important.
Absolutely. And Glenn, you mentioned this off the top, but I think it's worth reiterating. These different kinds of insurances are great at different times in your life, which is another reason maybe to have a good review.
Yeah, different phases. All insurance should have a goal, right? With life insurance specifically, Larry hears me say this all the time, that this is a tool meant to solve a problem, a financial problem upon our death. So let's first start with the identifying what that problem is. right? And then discussing the tools that we can be using to fix that. And one of those tools might be life insurance. And if it is, let's make sure it's the best tool the market can provide to solve that problem for us.
Sure, absolutely. 612-504-8400. That's how you reach the folks there at Haven Financial Group. If you have some questions about insurance, and Glenn has made it very clear, and of course, Larry says this each and every week, education is really what it's about. You need to be educated about what these different life insurances are and what they can do for you, just like your medical insurance. The folks there at Haven Financial Group would love to help you out with that. It's 612-504-8400. Larry, any upcoming seminars or any upcoming educational classes about these issues, insurance issues?
Well, we have them all the time. Just go to our website, havenfinancialgroup.com. We have one coming up here August 10th and 13th, What to Know Before You Retire. Ask the Experts. That's actually going to be at Porter Creek here in the Burnsville area. We're going to be doing some Social Security. We're going out all the way to Owatonna. Have not gone down that, but we had requests that they wanted us to come down. So go to our website. Education is what it's all about. It's where it starts. And naturally, because we educate, we get the privilege of helping a lot of people. You know, like Glenn was talking life insurance. I also want to just say this. We're not there to try to sell you just more life insurance. Do you need life insurance? Why do you need it? What, like Glenn said, the goals, aspirations, what is it for? We diagnose the problem, then figure out a solution. We're not there to just sell you. That's not what it's about.
612-504-8400 is the number. Coming up next, we'll talk about annuities. This is the Haven Financial Group Radio Show.